All right. Good afternoon. We are thrilled to have another community together session today with us. And what we've done now is we've invited 3 teachers. We've got a high school teacher, a middle school teacher, and a kindergarten teacher to really talk about their perspectives about how they've had to transfer from school to homeschooling to Zoom. So let's start with introducing yourselves and where you're at, and a little bit about the transition. So welcome to all of you. And Doug, let's start with high school, then we'll go to middle school, Jackie, and then we'll go to Amy on kindergarten level. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be here. My name is Doug Freed. I teach 12th grade social studies, so that's government and economics at Westlake High School. We've, just like everyone else, been, Zooming with students every day. We've been providing online work and support as best we can. I think probably the question on everyone's mind is what will next year look like, and we don't know that yet. I know the governor has said some things in the last couple days, but none of our school administrations are talking about opening in July as of yet.
Okay.
Hi there. My name is Jacquie Meir, and I am an English and English language learner teacher at Los Cerritos Middle School. And we too have found going online to be very interesting and are trying to support our students best as possible. And so far, so good. I'm really pleased at the progress that students are having. And while there was a big learning curve for this, it seems like the kids were way ahead of us. And so it's very interesting to see how well they're doing online.
That's terrific. Terrific. And then Amy with the kindergartners.
Hi, I'm Amy Licht, and I teach kindergarten at Willow Elementary School in Agora. And our transition, now we're kind of rocking and rolling. Things are going pretty smoothly now, but there was definitely a learning curve. As all of you did, we had to leave our classrooms pretty abruptly and figure this out overnight. And especially for the primary level, our little babies are not, used to going on all these different technology platforms. They do have some experience on computers and on tablets and so forth, but they're not used to having to, just to get them to put in one password can take us all year to train them to log into one program. So with all these different platforms we're having to use, there's been a big learning curve, not only for the teachers figuring it out, but also for the parents. So we've had to really train the parents how to access Google Classroom and how to get on to Flipgrid and how to get on to all of these different platforms. And we have to really, step by step, map it out for them. So everybody's been working really hard to make this work.
Well, I mean, you guys have had to transition. What you as teachers have to normally do in a general environment is just a lot of expectations and, huge kudos to all of you for being teachers, and then asking you to do everything and transfer it online. I mean, hats off to all of you guys for doing it. Talk to us a little bit about what you feel. Are kids losing anything on learning? Because a lot of talk about, are they losing anything about their educational development? So academically, you've got Doug, you've got seniors who are AP ready, who are off to college. What are you seeing there?
I think I have the part of the spectrum that's probably best able to handle this. Many of them have taken online classes before. So it's not that new to them. I think most of the burden is going to fall on our K through second grade folks, where, honestly, I think that a lot of the strain there is probably being put on parents. I'm sure a lot of you have felt that at home. Whereas, my students in the subjects I teach, I don't think that most parents would be required to help them or be able to, even if they could. So for high school seniors, I don't see much of an issue. For younger people, I think it's going to be much harder.
And if I remember from my kids, by March, they were pretty checked out of their senior year of high school. I hate to say it, as far as they knew, like, their college applications were done and they were waiting. So you are probably right to be at that spectrum. at the end of it that those kids, and you also had the AP students, so
I do. And when all of this started, I thought there was going to be much less buy-in, even from highly motivated students. I am very impressed with how committed they are. I think they like the sense of normalcy. I think it's something they can do during the day. At least when we're Zooming together, it's an opportunity for them to kind of interact with their friends. So honestly, it has been, at least from an education standpoint, much better than I thought it was going to be. Unfortunately, I have a department meeting that I have to go to. So I want to thank you so much for including me, and to wish everyone a happy and safe duration.
Doug, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much. Jacquie, let's talk about the middle school kids, and what are you doing, and how did that transition work for you?
So middle school kids are actually very savvy on the computer. So we had already been using Google Classroom and Flipgrid and Read Theory and many different online platforms. So it was a really easy transition for them to begin learning from there. I think maybe the most difficult part, from what I've noticed in collaborating with my team, which I want to say to the parents out there, Conejo Valley and Conejo Valley Unified School District in particular, as soon as the schools were closed down, the teams just like a magnet came together. What are we going to do? How are we going to make this relevant and efficient for students? How are we going to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do? And so we got on it quickly, and because we're team oriented and collaborative, it rolled out really smoothly. So what I've heard from kids is they enjoy it, actually. They enjoy having the schedule, so they know when they need to be in each class, and they enjoy seeing the teachers in the Loom videos and tutorials, and they're enjoying Zoom. And they seem to be progressing quite nicely with their work. And one of the benefits, I think, is that because the child is not right in front of you in the classroom, they're actually asking more questions than they've ever asked, which is actually really good for their understanding. And also, they can see each other's questions. So they're benefiting from maybe not a live conversation, but at least one that's like a fact sheet where all the kids can see and then ask further clarifying questions. So I think that it's gone really, really well in terms of that. There's definitely a learning curve for the teachers. I was definitely a 50-50 traditional and online teacher. And so I had to spend a good, 150 hours teaching myself how to create a hyperdoc and how to insert the links and make a document so that kids could access those links and write right in the doc, so they wouldn't have to fumble with, well, how do I do the assignment if it's a PDF? So spent a lot of time teaching myself, and then the kids snapped right into it. They were amazing. I think the only pitfalls for our English language learners who have limited technology ability, that's where I'm struggling most to make sure that everything is equitable for all of my students. And I have a fabulous paraprofessional that has been helping me, and I think we're moving in the right direction for sure.
And are you able to control a classroom with 38 kids while you are, is there a sense of control over a Zoom classroom?
Right. So there is some fear with using Zoom, with the Zoom bombing that has happened. So in the English department, we're using it more for a social emotional element. So at the end of the week, sometimes in the middle of the week, depending on what kinds of emails we're getting from kids, we're having a Zoom for more of a social emotional support period where kids can talk to each other, they can check in with teachers. They rarely have a question about the work. The work is going well. They really want to interact with each other. So providing them opportunities to do that throughout the week, I think, is really important, because this is what they really miss, is that contact.
Yeah. I think we're going to talk about, I want to come back and talk about the social contact in a little bit. Amy, let's talk about the kindergartners. I remember my kindergartners, all they wanted to do was play and, tactical touching and learning. How can you do that over Zoom, and how did that transition?
Well, kindergarten in general is much different than it was years ago. So every grade level is pretty much now a grade level ahead of what it used to be. So what we're doing in kindergarten is really much like what used to be done in first grade. So we still do have a lot of that tactical and hands-on, of course, all of that, but kindergartners are expected to be reading by the end of kindergarten. So it's not just knowing your ABCs, but they're expected to be reading. So in terms of the hands-on, we are providing the kids opportunities with different resources to different websites and different, we've done some hands-on science experiments where we record videos of ourselves modeling the experiment, and then they can do it in their home. But of course, we're restricted to what we pretty much know they would have available in their household, so they wouldn't have to go out and get anything. And lots of resources for the parents to go on to provide those more hands-on kinesthetic experiences. So I would say, you know, in our Zoom calls, perhaps that's what is lacking, is the, you know, tactical hands-on, but there still is the movement. Like today in my Zoom calls this morning, I have my students get up and we act out a poem, and, you know, we're buzzing around like bees and hopping like the rabbits. And so they're still getting out, and, you know, I have to give them lots of movement breaks because, you know, the attention span of a 5-year-old, they pretty much say, 5- and 6-year-old, it's like 1 minute per year of your life. So that means like if they're 6, they can only, you know, attend for 6 straight minutes. So this expectation on Zoom calls is a lot, and you can see them, you know, by the end of the call, they're all slouching down in their seats and they're squirming around, and it's really funny to watch them, especially in the beginning on Zoom, just kind of getting used to it. They're making faces at the camera, and they're so excited to see themselves on the screen, and, you know, sticking their tongue out. And I have to remind them, we can all see you, as they're making these silly faces into the screen. So at first, when I first started it, and now you had mentioned, Jackie, that you're kind of a 50-50% teacher. I use a ton of technology in my classroom, but not this type of technology, not teaching over a computer. So like you had said, Jackie, it was a huge learning curve just at the beginning, just the hours and hours and hours spent figuring out all these different programs. So that was huge. And at the beginning, when we first started Zoom, and they were making all these faces, and the parents couldn't get them on, and there's that, we can't hear you, and unmute yourself, mute yourself, and the whole, I thought, how am I ever going to teach over this? But then after, you know, we did it a few times, and kind of that novelty of it wore off a little bit, I began to see how, okay, I'll be able to teach through this. So now what I've been doing is I meet with my students for small groups. So we meet in groups of 6, where we work on reading and writing lessons. And I do that twice a week. And our lessons now are going about 45 to 50 minutes. So that's a long time for them to sit there and sustain. But I give them movement breaks, and we get up and move and do different things. And then we meet. So right after this call, I actually have a call with my class. We have what we call thematic Thursdays. And that's kind of our social emotional time, where it's everybody all at once, because I learned quickly that I can't really teach when it's the whole class there. It's just too many students to be able to teach. So we do more of the fun stuff where they can see each other. And we've had different themes like pajama story time. And we've done little scavenger hunts where I send them running around for things in the house. Today's theme is going to be, I'm going to read them a story called Scribble Rocks, where they're going to learn about all those inspirational rocks. And I've told them to come with their face painted. So last week we did Earth Day, and we did the Lorax. So they had these fun Lorax glasses on. And so now, you know, they're super used to being on Zoom, and it's amazing how you should see some of these kids, how independent they are now. They mute and unmute themselves and know how to, you know, have everything going. And I really feel like truly my students are learning, and they are making huge progress. And like Jackie said, having them on the screen, it's eliminating all of those background distractions that used to distract them in a regular classroom environment, because they're focused on the screen. I project my screen, I share my screen with them constantly, so that they're constantly focused and looking up on the screen. And those students that were, you know, highly distracted in the regular classroom are more focused. If they start disrupting, the nice thing is I can mute them, and you can't mute them in the classroom. So, you know, we're eliminating those, you know, distractions there. So that's really helpful. And I feel like they are having, whereas in the classroom, yes, I'm teaching small group reading lessons, let's say, and maybe it's a 30-minute reading lesson, but that's 30 minutes with those 6 kids with my other students still in the classroom. So I'm dealing with little Johnny's about to throw up, and this one has an owie, and, you know, so there's all these other distractions going on. Whereas now it's 45 minutes of, we're focused on what we're learning. If they need to go to the bathroom, they just run. If they need help, they, you know, they're hurt, they go to mommy. So we're really able to get a lot done. But it is, you know, it's a lot on the teachers, and especially in the primary grades, it's a lot on these parents, because these kids are not independent. I'm a mom myself. I have actually triplet boys. They're in 5th grade, and just the difference is, I mean, they are so independent. They know how to log into their Google Classroom to submit their assignments. So there's not much I'm having to do on my end other than, you know, making sure that they're following through on what they're supposed to do. But if you're a parent of a kindergarten, a 1st grade, a 2nd grader, you are having to be their teacher now. I mean, I'm providing you, and the teachers are providing you with all the resources you need, and to click on the assignments easily and trying to make it as user-friendly as possible. But it's a lot of effort on these parents' part, and it's hard for them. It's a lot of work. But I feel like the kids they really are learning, and they really are progressing. Now,
it's very interesting to me, because I think both of you are both saying, and all 3 of you have been saying, that the kids are definitely more focused. And I think the positives are coming out of this, as far as the technology learning, the focus, the fact that, Amy, that you can take them into smaller groups and, you know, more attention in 45 minutes than you probably could give them in a classroom, so that they can move forward. I mean, I love to hear that they're not falling behind on their academics. One of the things that I think you touched on a little bit is the social maturity that has to happen for elementary and middle school levels in order to do that. And they learn a lot about being out at recess, or being in the lunchroom, or learning, sharing in a kindergarten class. I mean, there's a lot of socialization. How is either Conejo or Las Virgenes dealing with that? Or is that just something not talked about right now?
Well, I found that actually virtual learning has some benefits that maybe are not in the classroom. One of them is really emphasizing and growing the students' listening and speaking skills. We do that in the classroom, obviously, but in a class of 38, you only get to speak so many times. In this format with small groups, because we're doing small groups as well in Zoom, students are, you know, using their eye contact, and they're using body language, and they're having more time to speak and really listen to each other. So I think that that is amazing, and it's going to help them socially and emotionally later in life, as well as develop 21st century skills. There's absolutely no question. In terms of the school, our counseling department is fabulous. They have been sending out links of social emotional technologies that students can access, particularly meditation ones that are for teachers as well. So they are definitely supporting the staff and supporting the community and parents, students, teachers alike in making sure that they're really listening to what's going on with kids socially and emotionally, and trying to put in as many supports as possible so that kids are not stressed and having anxiety from home. So I think that the district does a really good job of making sure that they are looking at the whole child and making sure the technology is there and the social emotional skills are being taken care of. If you have a special needs student, they're all over that. IEP is happening on Zoom, and everybody's really thinking about how can we make sure that learning is equitable for all students.
I love it. Somebody who does real estate, people come here for the schools, and Conejo and Las Virgenes have been fabulous schools from the very beginning, and to hear how they've pivoted and supported you as teachers and supporting the parents is you know, terrific. I do want to ask both of you, what do you need from parents or from the community if we are moving forward into some kind of half, you know, classroom, half Zoom learning next year, which is most likely the format that's going to happen, is what we're hearing, whether, you know, to some format, I don't know. What do you need from us as a community? What do you need from parents? How else can we support you guys?
Well, I mean, I think an important thing to note is that no decisions have been made for the fall. I don't think anybody knows exactly what the fall is going to look like. The gentleman said earlier, things have been said by the governor, but we just received information from our superintendent that was sent out to both the staff and the parents that that is not anything that he's hearing from any of the neighboring superintendents. And logistically wise, there's a lot that I don't even need to go in here that would
starting in July.
Would go into starting in July, because both teachers, parents, students, we in this community in the Conejo Valley, you know, have been, not that, I mean, teachers are working hard and parents are working hard everywhere, but we don't have as, you know, huge of a problem in terms of equal access that they might have in other communities. So our students, I feel like, really have been learning and really progressing, and probably are going to be really in need of a break. So I don't think that anybody knows, you know, what it's going to exactly look like in the fall. I know for myself personally, you know, that was, you know, concerning. I've been so calm and mellow this whole time, just, you know, like teachers do, making it work. And I kind of had, you know, like that freak out moment the other day where it all kind of emotionally came to like the idea of, and I'm going to have to go back, and what is that going to look like? And one of my colleagues just had to remind me, don't even go there yet. We don't know what the fall is going to look like. So I think that's important. But I think in terms of parents, your initial question, just keep supporting the teachers, and, you know, just keep following along with what they're giving you and support them, and know that they are working really, really hard. And just like you, many of them are parents of young children themselves and might have elderly parents at home that they're having to take care of, and all these responsibilities that they're now having to manage, you know, at both times. I have friends that have very, very young children that they're having to then take care of. My children are older, so I can say, I'm on a call right now, stay away, stay away. But if you have, you know, a 2-year-old running around, it's very hard. So I think just as parents, offer the teachers grace. I mean, my particular class of parents has been absolutely amazing, but I know that some teachers have faced criticism from parents of, you know, you're not doing enough, you're not this, you're not that, this is too hard, and being critical, and why don't you try it this way? Why don't you do it that way? Or this teacher is doing it this way, you should do it that way. So I think the biggest thing is for parents to just offer grace and know that we are all going through a very stressful time together.
I completely agree with you, Amy. I also think that parents, you know, don't hesitate to reach out to your teachers if there's something specific that your child is struggling with or your child needs, because there are a good percentage of kids that, at least in Conejo Valley, who are English language learners or they're special needs students. And we want to make sure that all of this is translating into something that is really viable and meaningful for all of our students. So I would say don't hesitate to reach out if necessary. And in terms of what can parents do for us, you know, just send an email every once in a while and let us know that you appreciate what all of your teachers are doing, because that really goes a long, long way. We're all really separated and isolated. I know it's tremendously difficult for me not to be able to like hug my kids and see my kids. And so just having that contact, like we do with our family members who are locked down that we can't go and see, you know, reach out, say hello. I know next week is Teacher Appreciation Week, isn't it next week? Or it's coming really soon. So just reach out with a nice little note. And I think that that will really lift the spirits of teachers. And we're reaching out to your kids and trying to do the same. Yeah, I think parents are really doing a great job in Conejo supporting their kids.
I gotta say, you three that we had on are phenomenal, and everything, all teachers in general, how you've had to pivot and move, and the expectations. And I know parents of Conejo Valley, the moms and the parents have high expectations of their kids, high expectations of you as teachers. But the fact that how you've had to pivot and move your lessons online, I agree that thank you from my heart to all the viewers, from all the community members. I feel the passion that you guys have for teaching. I feel like the passion you have for the kids and helping them move forward, and also the passion you have to find a way to make all of this work for everybody. But remember to take care of yourself. So I think that meditation and calm, and and you do need a break. So when class is over, before you need to take a break, because you're going to have new students that are coming in, I just wish you all the best. And I thank you so much for being here. And we will do our best to get that out there, to get the message out there. Teacher Appreciation is next week, and you guys deserve huge kudos for what you've done. So honestly, thank you from everybody, for doing what you've done, sharing your stories, because I don't think anyone knows what you go through. And I hope that we can get it out there and help, the community learn. But we love our schools. We love what the district's been doing. You guys are, shine through. And thank you so much for coming on with us today and sharing.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thank you too.
Thank you so much.